Good morning, Facebook Live. Woo! We are here this morning with Johnnie live at the Building CEOs Networking Group at 1910 William Street at the Long & Foster Building right here in Fredericksburg. You guys are welcome to show up every single Tuesday morning at 8:15 to 9:30 here in Fredericksburg. This morning we have Johnnie Lloyd live from Johnnie Lloyd and Associates. She's going to be empowering us and giving us some great information to impart on our businesses. Stay tuned afterwards for the Q&A session, and we have got a house full. Check them out. Yay! Say hi, everyone. We're going to be learning from everybody. So stay tuned, stay live, and we're going to get ready to get started. You ready?
Wonderful.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so today, which is really interesting, you're welcome to open up your packets. I'm talking about time. So have you ever time and money? So part of what happens sometimes is the first thing that you talk about when you talk about women's empowerment, when you talk about what you do as a consultant or a life coach or your business, the first thing that seems like it's attacked is what you're doing that day. So what happened to me today? Everything connected to time. So I had to switch, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to code switch to just do the big rock. Getting here was my big rock. I said, just get there. Anything above that is going to be gravy, right? So sometimes as you have those kind of days, and you have to give yourself the ability to have that day without shooting yourself in the foot, without looking at yourself and saying what you're not, and remembering who you are. Does that make sense? And what you are called to do. So what we're going to do is, even though I have this amazing presentation, we're going to look at it and we're going to do it a little bit differently than the presentation shows. We're going to, the intent today is to cause you to be more time conscious and more wealth conscious. We live in a society that tells us who we are not, what we don't have, and it's a lack or a mentality that makes you go after things because it keeps on reminding you who you're not. And if we're not careful, that will happen in your business. You'll look at what you don't have, and you'll stop making those key critical decisions, even in your life, where you won't even make those key critical decisions because you're looking at what you do not have versus what you have. So today, we're going to switch. Say switch. Switch. We're going to switch it. We're going to switch it up. Because if you don't, what happens is that you have a choice. You are in a pit, and what happens with the dirt that is tossed in, either you step on it and step on it and step it down so it's firm so you can get out of the pit, or you allow it to bury you. And we're not going to allow anything to bury us because there's too much in us that other people need, okay? Because otherwise you wouldn't be in business, right? If you weren't offering a service or solving a problem, you wouldn't be in business, right? Right. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm with the right group. So that's the key. The key is that. So let's look at the time element. This sheet right here, let's look at that one first. And that sheet is just giving you some insight of time management. Now, the key with management versus leading is that if I'm not careful, my time will manage me versus me managing my time. So these are just, I thought this was a great insight. I'm a big person that does mind mapping, that kind of thing. So this is great insight about things you can look for to help you manage and control your time, okay? So now you can flip that over. Okay, so we're gonna go to the presentation. Now the presentation is going to be a little different for the people that are viewing, so I'm going to be a little bit more expansive on it. So the first key is the key to its success. The key that you should do today, and I would recommend that you do if you write to the side, is that you would identify 3 things in either in your business or your life that you would like to do before the end of the year. I don't want it to make it 5 years out. I don't want to make it 12 months out because we have the tendency of putting off things. So I'm saying in the next 90 days, what would you like to accomplish? 3 major bodacious goals. And if you'll write those goals down, then some of this, as we talk about big rocks, is going to make sense. So, okay? So first of all, just write down 3 bodacious goals. And if you don't know them right now, make sure you write that down as something that you need to do. Because if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. There's two critical things when it comes to success. It's like GPS. Where are you starting from? And you have to give the GPS system the ability to track you. Is that not correct? If you say no, you can't tell me where, you can't identify where I'm at, it can't tell you how to get there, right? So the key with that is you need to have self-awareness. You need to know where you're at in your business. So you need some tracking mechanism, you need a budget, you need some planning, you need all those things. And then you need to know where you're going, because that is what you need to stay focused on. Because if you miss the focus on that, you'll get caught up with what I call the chaos of life. That will come to steal your time and take you off track, okay? So that is the key. So the key is to your success is knowing where you want to go. And then the next question is, what are you willing to do to get there? That is powerful, because we're going to talk about significance. The significance, time is relative, but what you do with your time when you have little of it or less than most people, because you're a business owner, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're all these additional things, you're a husband, you're all these things. So the key with that is look at your time and look at what's giving you the greatest significance, and I call it the greatest bang for your buck, okay? If it's important for your children on Wednesday for you to be out to go to their game, you might want to figure that out, because they'll remember that you're the breadwinner. They will when they ask you for something. But when they get older, they'll remember that you were never at their games. So you need to look at the thing with your time, because whether we believe it or not, we're in control of our time. There's three things in life that you control: your mind, your will, and your emotions. Now, most people say, no, I can't control my emotions. Oh, yes, you can. And if you don't, it's going to jack up your life. It'll jack up your business. It'll mess you up. So those are the three things that you can control in your life, okay? So intentional imbalance. Most people are looking for balance, and I'd say intentional imbalance. Because there are days that my family is the most important thing to me today. I need to put some other things on the burner. Now, I'm not gonna let a fire not go out, okay? But there are some other things that's calling you that is not urgent, okay? And I'm sure everybody's seen the quad: urgent, important, not urgent, not important. You have to look at that as in an element of significance. And so that's it. What motivates you? Remember, part of your success should be your family, I would think. So that leads to it. You do not want to be a public success and a private failure, because so many people have become successful, whatever that term is for them, and ended up losing everything that they value. And you don't want to be that person. Okay, so keep that in your mindset. You want to collaborate. Now, this is the key that I find with that. When we look at the numbers of the people that could get your service, sometimes I find that people are scared of each other because they're in the same space. But there's enough people, because somebody is going to love Donella and not want to, you know what I'm saying? I can send them to her because she's a better fit for them. And that's the key. The key is not me trying to hold everything to myself, because when you have that lack mentality, your hand is closed. But when you collaborate with other businesses, you can use your, let's say, $3,000 and their $3,000, and you can have a program and you can do things that will impact the community, that will change lives. So you're not against one another. Figure out how to collaborate in a positive sense where you can grow one another together. Does that make sense? Okay, and that's very powerful. Then the communication. A lot of people communicate, but not everybody connects. And that's a training that John Maxwell does. And the other thing is, I call it break. Take a break. I mean, really, break. We can get so entrenched that we're not doing what we need to do, okay? The other thing, the next one is, we all have emails. We all have everybody who's trying to tap into us. Get rid of some of your emails. The things that are not important, delete. Use your email box the way you use your life, and put it in categories: urgent, not important. And then when you start looking at the not important, you might want to come off some of the people that's sending you emails that you signed up for something and got some great information. Get rid of that. Because every time your phone rings, every time it dings, intentionally, it will draw you away. So be careful with that, okay? So that's the other thing. And I know people said, and I'm on the sheet 2, multitasking. Now this is going to mess up people. This is going to mess people up. Because initially it messed me up. I was taught to multitask. I mean, literally, worked at it. Trained from the best of the best to multitask. Because I was a single parent. I had been homeless. You know, I was multitasking. I'm in the C-suite position, and I'm thinking I can't, multitask everybody. It's not healthy, number one. Number two is, now that they've done research, they said multitasking is not productive.
It doesn't exist.
And it really doesn't exist because your mind doesn't work that way. And when you start teaching yourself to be at a million things, your focus is impacted to a place that you don't have the same strength as it comes to your focus. So like kids nowadays, 8 seconds, that's because they've learned to, the phone, this, that, they won't stay on one thing. That impacts the decisions you make in your life. That impacts staying in relationships. That impacts, because everything's not perfect, staying in business. Driving on the road, you get tired of somebody in front of you. They're driving slow. You freak out and start doing something crazy. It will impact your life. So multitasking never worked, but it felt interesting. So anyway, so that's stop it. So focus, focus is the key. And I like the guy on here. The key with focusing is, my saying is, you're fire when you're focused. I have that on myself. The reason I say that you're fire when you're focused, because you burn up the thing that you're focused on. You burn that thing up. You make that happen. I'm not saying you're focused on this and you forget about your children, your family, everything. I'm not talking about that kind of focus. But be consistent. Be persistent. Focus on the thing that you said was good, the thing that you're after, and go for it. Okay? So now the next page is page 3. Profitability versus insignificance. So what if I could tell you that if you look at your current time and you look at the situation and you start looking at what you're spending your time on and what's pulling you, what if I could tell you could save at least 3 hours a day? You could gather 3 hours a day from your day to reassign it to what you think is important. Now the other thing about that is you need to find somebody that, I'm going to call it avatar. If you're your best employee, and some of us could be or could not be, if we're the best employee, or you have a person in your organization that you would consider your best employee, if you look at the qualities and the traits and the values of that person, then that's what you're looking for in another person. Okay? That's what you're looking for. So let them be your avatar, or you create your avatar if you don't know who that person is. Create the values, the person that you're looking for. That's not shape, that's not size, that's not eye color, guys. That's not that. It's what are the values that are going to support your vision, your purpose. Okay? So when you do that, what happens is you can trust them. You can pour your vision into them. You can then they can partner with you. And then you end up duplicating yourself. Not 100%, but if you could get a couple more people that can do 50% of what you could do, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that impact your life in a greater sense? The other thing is help people understand that work for you or work with you, the impact of what you're asking them to do. Like when I do customer service training, I tell them, when the customers stop coming in, it impacts your bottom line. You know how it impacts your bottom line? You won't have a job. So I need you not to bring your attitude in here. I need you to be kind. They don't care that your car didn't start. They don't care. So I need you in here. I care, so come tell me, run, whatever you need to do. Dry up your tears and go to work. I need you to do that. But I'll help you do whatever. But help them be problem solvers. Help them not be driven by their emotions. Does that make sense? And then that'll help you. That's going to help your profitability, because when people don't get good service, they end up tweeting it or putting on Instagram. And sometimes we don't track those things, so we don't know what people are saying about our organizations or us. So we have to be careful with that. Then profitability building. What it is the greatest resource is people. That is the key. Honestly, your greatest resource is your people. Whether it's you as a person and the people that work with you, your internal and external clients. That's what the profitability or significance add value to. You need to solve a problem. If you're in a business and you don't solve a problem, you're not going to last long. The next one is you need to be the solution to the problem. Okay. Then the other thing is clients. A lot of us look at our external clients, but we don't look at our internal clients. Everybody internal that work for us is our client as well. We need to take care of them. And that will lead to greater value. That will lead to greater money. Okay? Now, the thing that you can't see, I have to bring it up, is stop leaking your resources. And that's people, that is your time. But that's also your money. But remember, if a person sits on their cell phone for 3 hours working for you, you just paid them for looking at their cell phone. Give them something to do. Encourage them. Find out what they like. Sometimes the very thing that we're looking for, the very thing that we want people to help us with, is in our shop. Somebody who loves social media. One of the kids that loves social media. You don't have a media presence. Let them help you. You know they're not encumbered all day. Let them help you. Help build them and give them the information and give them the ability to write that in their resume. No, they may not stay forever, but utilize their services, utilize their gifts and talents while they're with you. Do that. Don't abuse them, but utilize them and then help them. Send them to classes. Do the things that would empower them, okay? Part of it is this. If you go to slide 4, the real investment is effective people and productivity. People, productivity, your purpose is so interrelated that there is no space. If your people are not functioning well, your profitability and your productivity is hindered. If your purpose is not clear, the vision that you have for your organization, if they don't understand it, they don't know what they're following, so they do what they think is right. And now some people are going to do what they think is right anyway. You got those too, okay? So, but you at least give them something to work with. So you have to look at that. And then my big thing, and this is the thing that I'm really pushing on now, is the Pareto principle. If you see my nails, I have 2 nails that are painted a different color. The reason that I've done that, and people have been asking me, like, what are you doing? Because that doesn't sound like me. So, it's to remind me that 20% of the people that you are getting paid from are giving you 80% of your profit. Who are those 20%? Who are they? And can you duplicate them? Isn't that the people that you should be targeting? Isn't that the kind of client that you want to duplicate? The same thing with productivity. If you look at the things that you do during the day and you say 20% of what you're doing is giving you 80% results, what is the 20%? Some of that stuff is fluff and some of it's just garbage. So you need to identify to rectify, because when you take your time and you get a chance to step away from your organization, you come outside the frame, is what I call it. It's hard to be in the picture frame and judge what's going on. As you step outside your frame as an owner, as a CEO, as a president, as a company, as part of the company, you can look back into the frame and you can look at the process and say, I need help. When you step out of the frame, you empower yourself to grow and be more profitable, bottom line. Does that make sense? So that's the key. And then one of the last things besides 80-20 is productivity equals self-care. If you don't take care of yourself, it doesn't matter, personally, professionally, if you don't take care of yourself, it's hard for you to take care of anybody else. And this is what happens. It's just like a bank. No deposit, no return. Mm-hmm. If you don't make deposits in your life, if you don't have people around you that you're collaborating with and that you trust and you value that's making deposits in your life, you will be empty. And anytime you go to an empty vessel, and people start trying to pour something out, they get mad at the vessel. Don't get mad at yourself. Feed yourself. Okay? And then the other one is just powerful strategy. A lot of people say Generation Z is an issue. What I would encourage you to do is look at the profitability in each generation and see how it applies to you if that's your client, if that's your market. Okay? So now that you know a little bit more about what success looks like for you, you've looked and you're going to look at the big rocks that you're looking at in your organization. Do you have questions about how to make this work easier for you? Now I'm good, but I don't think I'm that good. I'm good. Do you have a question? Go ahead.
I was just going to go back to your, we were talking about if you have a kid in there, you've got like 3 hours on them, and maybe you don't have a social media presence and giving them something to do. I think that's a really great idea because I think a lot of organizations, especially established organizations, they sometimes fear building up a lot of their employees because they don't want them to leave. But I think a better strategy to look at that is becoming that hub that actually develops people. So for example, just using Long & Foster for example, if all the real estate agents here were empowered and built up so well, so good that they kind of outgrow and then they go, all of a sudden over time, Long & Foster over here becomes known as, oh, well, she came from Long & Foster. I'm gonna send her to get started there. Like you build up this reputation. It's a long game, but the weight of the impact is right there. So yeah, so
But that's the key.
Yeah.
The key is that it's all a long-term game.
Yeah.
So when I talk to clients, I tell them, I said, most people start at the beginning. Where are you? I find out where you are right now because I have 47 years of accounting experience. So that's my thing. Profitability, productivity, all this stuff is mine. So, and I'm Lean 6, Green Belt. So I like processes, right? But I ask them to go to the end. What do you see at the end? So when you're building the company or when you're thinking about the country, what do you want to do with the company at the end? Do you have it to sell? Is it for a legacy? So when you look at it that way, you help other people build your legacy. Because what the example you gave was awesome. Think about that as being a legacy. Then you have people that's coming through. But it's like a flow of water. Keeping people pinned up in your organization is painful. It's painful to you and it's painful to them. And that's really probably not the type of person you want. You want someone that's like you, that's growing, that's innovative, that's creative. And trust is an element of trust. You have to trust the people that work with you. Now, when you prove to me that you're not trustworthy, there are other opportunities that you can go to. I want you to grow outside my organization, not in it. Because if I can't trust you, one of us is extra. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to do everything I can to help you grow. And I think when you put that in there, a lot of people will stay. Because the worst employee I think a person can have is one that's not developed and working for you. So that's why it's so key for us to self-develop every area of our life. Self-development is the best way to lead you to success ever. And it's an investment, but it's an investment that continuously pays off in every area of your life. Because this applies to business, it applies to personal life, it applies to every area of your life. And when you move from being a scarcity mentality into a wealth-conscious mentality, and wealth is not just money. Wealth is the time, the energy, the health. All of that is wealth when I say it. So when you move into that mindset, everything in your life is impacted. And everyone in your life is impacted. So yeah, I appreciate that statement. Anybody else see questions about how it can apply to you?
Well, I've just been self-employed for 24 years. I'm not an expert in a lot of things, and I'm not afraid to spend the money to have people help me. This morning I have 2 people at my house because I can't do it physically. I don't have the time. It's unproductive for me. I had Nancy come and organize my office because I'm not good at it. And a lot of people that are individual self-employed people, we're sometimes afraid to spend that extra money. But in the end, I'm more productive, like you're saying, because now I have time to be here and learn something. I can go about my business, and it pays to pay out a little bit, not to be so tight-fisted, with your pockets. And people notice it too in the community. For years I've hired people, and they appreciate it. It helps grow their business. They don't forget you. More likely to refer to you. Even if you have to spend a lot, it's okay, because it does. Even if it doesn't come back, you still needed that person.
And I would say that it comes back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every seed that, not from that person.
Right.
I don't believe it necessarily comes from that person. Mm-hmm. However, I believe that every seed I've sown, everything a person does, every kind word comes back. If it doesn't come from that person, I believe it comes from someone else.
Absolutely, yeah. And so, and it is a balancing act, and being able to control your hours and your personal life. It's a little easier when you get my age, because you have the kids and but I do have a good balance in my life. When I have fun time, I make sure I take off. I stop my hours at certain times, unless I did have one client that wanted me at 10 o'clock last night, and I made sure I called them. It was very odd, never happens, but it was very productive. So, but I did that from the beginning of my business. I always made sure I control my hours and my selling time versus shutdown time, and balance, fun versus work. And you don't get burned out so easily, and you don't get overly tired from, just work, which is really hard for self-employed people. I've met many who want to just keep on working until 9, 10 o'clock at night, and their family misses out. You miss all those kid time, you miss dinner, your health suffers. So after 24 years of doing this, I'm really happy I started that seed off at least right, and having a balance in my life.
Yeah, it matters. I haven't been the best at that. That's why I can honestly teach this so well, because I'm not the best advocate. However, I know the results are amazing. So, literally amazing. And then, and it encourages other people. And relationships are the most critical thing to grow in your business. Because you build relationships with the people that work with you, build relationships with your clients, they'll refer you, that kind of thing. Because people do business with people that they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Johnnie, can you talk about the fear of asking for help?
Ooh. Ooh. Oh my God, what a good question. Wow. So let's talk about, there's 6 ghosts of fear. One is people's opinion. The thing about asking for people to help you is sometimes you feel like they're going to come in and you're going to be uncovered. That somebody's going to go back and say what you're not instead of what you are. They're going to open up that, right? The other thing that some people, because everybody's different, the asking for people help says that I'm not Superwoman. That I'm not all things to all people.
Sign of weakness.
It's a sign of weakness. And a lot of people look at that as a sign of weakness. And to me, it's really a sign of strength.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a sign of power. But that's not what we're trained. And Donnella can speak. She's an excellent coach, so you can probably speak a little bit more to that.
I think it does become a sign of strength, because we are taught that you cannot always be the smartest person in every room, and asking for help speaks to that. Because if you're asking for help, you're learning from somebody else. You can't know everything, and you shouldn't know everything, right? Because we all have attributes, we all have strengths, we have different lives and different paths that we've taken, and we're experts in different fields. So when we admit that we have a weakness or we aren't strong in certain things, then bringing the strengths from other people is just elevate us and lift us up even more, and it gives us a different perspective, which we then can impart on other people, which goes back to being a river and not a reservoir. So it just allows our knowledge to flow through others, which is what we encourage people to do as coaches.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing, when it comes to that, is I used to have a large group of people that work for me. In the front line, I learned, and I have to stress this, I learned not to come in and tell them how to solve the problem. Because once I say how to solve it, the people in the room are not going to go against what you just said. So you come in and you lay the problem, and then you let them figure it out, and ask them questions about what they're saying, and have you considered the cost? And you know what that does? That allows them to buy into. That allows them to think, they respect what I said, even when you don't do it. And that's part of the game. I mean, I'm just calling it the game, but that's part of what you do is you let them know that I value you. However, your suggestion is going to cost us $2 million. I'm just saying, don't y'all want y'all job? You know what I'm saying? So there's a way to do that. And then when you do that, remind everybody, especially because they're your front line, remind them that once you get up, whether it's your family, because there's things that happen in relationships. Everybody didn't agree. Hello? Everybody didn't agree. But when we get up, let's get up together. Let's get up as one unit. That's the key. The key is how you ask people for help. The key is giving them enough information to allow you to help them, to be so secure in who you are. And that is powerful. And a lot of things from the lack mentality, that if I ask you for help, then I'm less than. And that's not the case. So just the way you look at it, just look at it. But you'll run into that anywhere and everywhere, I'm sure. That's a great question. Thank you. I'm going to have to use that question. So, anybody?
It's also a sign that you're willing to grow and, seek change if that's what's necessary. And that's someone that, I would say I want to work with them because they're willing to learn and grow. They want more. So I think, it goes back to its strength rather than a weakness to do that. But I think it shows they're seeking growth, change.
You know who's good at that? Patty. Patty was good at that. She knowing that I do video, but she didn't ask to set up like a one-on-one or anything like that. But she had no qualms about just hitting me on Facebook and being like, I'm trying to do this. How do I actually do this? You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people sometimes are scared to ask somebody sometimes because they think that they're automatically going to get pitched, And but one of the things I used to tell a lot of the officers that I worked with, several years ago was like the front line about complaining about different things going on in their relationships and there are people who are definitely going to always judge you. There are people who are definitely going to always appreciate you, and then there's a good majority that's not even really thinking about you to begin with. They got their own thing going on. So,
but we think they are.
Yeah. All about me.
So you got zero to lose to ask somebody. You know what I mean? Zero to lose.
I'd put it better than zero to lose. You have everything to gain.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you say everything to gain, it's a positive spin.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And you're going to gain the help and the resources of other people. Like, you get better when you teach. So if you have information and you have everything to gain, I'm going to get better. And then somebody's going to say, you know what, Jason, can you teach this to somebody else? And before you know it, I've now spread my intellect. I've shared it with you. You're better now, and now your product is better or your service is better because you have the courage to ask one simple question and get over that. Oh, they're going to think I'm so dumb. No, I don't want to waste 20 hours sitting there looking at YouTube trying to figure out YouTube when you have the answer.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
And we teach the kids in school. But as soon as they come out of high school, it's a collaborative, but they're learning in a competition manner, but they go into the real world and it's collaborative. And so they don't know how to handle those soft skills of being able to ask for help and be able to teach one another and be a leader and a follower at the same time. So we have to figure out that part of it, but asking for help is the most important thing we can do.
As a servant, I've worked to become a servant leader, and that's looking at it from a different perspective. It's not about me. It's about you. So if I don't provide you what you need, then I have not added value to you. But I love what you said about the teaching part. The teaching part is critical because anytime you can teach what you just learned, and I would encourage everybody to take one thing from the day, teach it to one other person, somehow it changes you. It makes it settle, or it becomes more firm in you when you teach what you just learned. Okay, because your time is valuable, and I appreciate everyone that's here, and thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome.
Thank
you. All right, we're going to finish this up. These business owners in this this room this morning are on fire. They're like crazy on the Tricky Tuesday this morning. Everybody say thank you. That was really good. All right, guys, we're going to finish up. Thank you guys for showing up.